What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer. Got a really cool set of duels to show you guys today. So, Synchro Eldlich has been around for a really long time, obviously. And, there's been different, versions of it. Link Cross, when that was out, obviously it was a lot better just because it's so easy to combo. But a long time ago, I made this, like, Penguin Synchro deck, basically, with, like, Deep Sea Diva and such. So, really, I mean, Eldlich is nothing but a shell, and the Ice Barrier stuff that I had in the original kind of Penguin deck just kind of stinks. So, instead of having that whole engine, it's just, Eldlich stuff now. And this guy's going to go through all of his combos. I wanted to show this to you because it's actually pretty insane, like, what ends up perspiring. But, alright, so we're going to continue to go forward here. Let's see where he ends up taking this. So, he's got this really nice Goki monster, the Power Load Ogre. So 4,200 attack, that's obviously quite a bit. If you have Boral Sword Dragon, which I do in the deck, that would be, a way to get over it. But, definitely not going to be able to do that with Appaloosa and such. So that card, this Goki card, can actually tribute itself to blow up like as many as the Link rating or something like that. So, okay, I got at least get rid of one of his Link 4s, even though he blew up my whole back row. Negating Eldritch doesn't really do anything. That's fine. At this point, if I can survive, I feel pretty good because I do have one of my play starters that I kept in my hand because of the presence of the Appaloosa. Let's see where he ends up going with this. Goki Rematch is obviously a very good card. Every time those things are sent to the graveyard, and then the Gokis replace themselves, very good. It's got the double summon, okay, but that didn't actually do anything. Okay, so I'm fine at this point. I still can get a little bit of advantage. I have an Eldlich in the graveyard too, which could end up being important. I can set an Eldlich spell or trap from my deck. And, I don't need this elixir anymore. I can get over, this Power Load Ogre, which is important, because now I can't tribute itself to, pop a bunch of cards on my field. And now I can actually go through these plays. Normally this ended in Penguin Soldier, but I found a new combo, which actually is probably just a little bit better. So somehow I've, kind of worked through everything that he's built so far. And you'll see a really cool combo. He has the Twin Twister, that's okay. To lose a Forbidden Droplets, I guess, is a little unfortunate, but I'm going to be able to pop a card, get rid of some of his Link ratings, and, I can go into TJ Wonder Magician, which, pops a spell or trap, and I set that with Dagda, because I already activated Christian Needle Halley Fibrax. So now he can't go into the extra deck, which is of vital importance. I actually used to think, well, it still is. The Penguin stuff is pretty silly, but there's a lot of really cool things you can do. I probably should have, sent back his Guts. I didn't realize when it's in defense position, that it cannot be destroyed by battle, unfortunately. What are you going to do? So I learned that the hard way. He's going to be able to search a Goki card, but now I at least get to be able to bounce 2 cards to his hand. So he's going to start with the Suprex, okay, and upon, that, he's going to be able to summon this, but as long as I can bounce back the Guts to his hand, well, then his plays are just completely over. So, I mean, Penguin Brave, besides being my favorite card art in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, did actually come in handy here. He'll be able to add a Goki card to his hand, but it is, much too late. Boral Sword Dragon is very good in this deck, obviously. Just being able to, get, Eldlich and use it for Link material, and then, tribute it back, which I thought was pretty neat. This time you're going to see, the very traditional combo. And one of the key cards in this deck, honestly, so this is going to take some time before I think it's viable because of how important this card is. Now, Illusion of Magic searches Magician's Souls, and you may be thinking, okay, that's so random, maybe it's good for a draw engine, but it actually tucks a card back into your hand. For combo decks that, depend on certain things not being on your hand, it comes in handy, and it will in some of these replays. But this combo is Anti-Nibiru proof, as the, the title suggests. Under, the 5 summons, you're going to be able to peek at their hands, so you're already going to know what they're going to be playing, essentially, which in and of itself is very valuable. And, you can just pick whatever out. So as long as it's not, an infinite impermanence, obviously, you're doing pretty good at that point. But they may not know that. If they see, you do the Gen X Undyne combo first, it's pretty hard to stop, honestly. So 2 less cards in his hand. The Nibiru, obviously, I'm going to know that's going to be his 3rd card. And I'm sending a bunch of these cards to the graveyard. Unfortunately, this stuff isn't technically online until Penguin Soldier gets flipped, where I can kind of free up some of my zones. But if he doesn't, kind of try to go through my board or destroy any cards at all, obviously all this stuff is really just a backup plan, because he's, starting behind the 8 ball, of course. All right, well, he goes for the Ancient Box. I mean, trains are able to plus just like crazy, obviously. I think he's going to try to proceed straight to the battle phase after this. Maybe not understanding Penguin Soldier's effect. So there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and bounce that. And my Penguin Brave, you know, back to it. I guess I could have done like Beast Colt Wing or something. I just needed to free up my zones, honestly. So probably number 60 would have been the smarter choice. But at the end phase, I'm going to be able to destroy his kind of face-up card. And, you know, obviously get an Eldlich from the deck, which would have been enough, you know, damage for lethal at that point. Plenty of duels. A lot of them I think will probably, you know, go just about the same way. But there are 9 hand traps in the deck to go along with your whole other engines. So again, I think it's, all things considered, pretty decent. Plenty of room disruption, and obviously your going first board is just absolutely bananas in my opinion. So I get the Gen X Undyne. All of these are 1-card play starters, so obviously, you know, no harm, no foul. This time I think I go for the traditional Penguin setup. We'll see what I do. Maybe not. I may end up trying to go for the extra deck lock. All right, Crystalline Needle Fiber from the deck and get an Ash, which is just, you know, this is just decent in and of itself. So I could have gone into the Penguin Brave stuff, but you see that, right? Like I go for the disruption first, and then now like this is just kind of supporting. This can also be sent to the graveyard, so I can send the Cursed Eldrin, you know, to get the Conch to the graveyard. That way, you know, I can actually use the effect of the Eldlich cards. So besides, you know, the whole like this combo here of being able to send something back to the deck, you know, it's just so much other kind of things you can do. So this is a little bit of a awkward, obviously, matchup here. A lot of back row, a lot of Solemn Judgments and Solemn Strikes. We'll see how I'm able to piece this one by one. The Solemn Judgment, I'm not sure if that was the proper use, but nonetheless, I think that's pretty good for me. And here, I think you're literally going to see this because this has to send from the deck. And I probably will do my best to try to go through that combo. But he did use the Solemn Strike, so that's not going to happen. But you can kind of see where that's coming from there. And he uses all of his disruption, and he's like basically out of it at this point. I burned through so much of his kind of everything that he has. And, you know, I can also send something like Atlantean Dragoons, maybe like looking forward ahead for the Deep Sea Diva. That's a very slow style of playing Yu-Gi-Oh, obviously. But in matchups like this, where it's kind of coming down to a top deck war, at least you can set yourself up so you know you're going to have something next. And that was, you know, the end right there. This was a match I had against the guy. So pretty cool being able to go second against it, especially with all the disruption that he had. Like just having like something to actually use to go through it and burn his resources is something in and of itself. This is like the full combo once again. And yeah, so cards like Forbidden Droplets help this a lot because, you know, if you do get your Eldlich stuff like you saw in that first duel, being able to send that off of the field to free up some zones while also being disruption during your opponent's turn can be like vitally important. Most of these duels I'm pretty sure I use this combo, but it is just so good. +2, you get to, you know, basically half of your opponent's hand's going to go out besides, you know, the one that you pick out, which is normally like a hand trap like Nibiru. But otherwise, if it's like a useless card, then you kind of have a 50-50 chance to, you know, get all the bad cards out of your opponent's hand. I just got rid of one of his play starters. And see, this is kind of like that ultimate thing here, right? Because the Forbidden Droplets is going to give me something, you know, maybe to replace with the Golden Land Forever. But he didn't have it. He didn't have any play starters, so all I would have had to do was attack for game, and it would have been over. Because that is enough for lethal, that whole setup there. Here is Cyber Dragons. Looks like he potentially bricked. I'm not sure if I don't know. I guess maybe I am going first. For some reason, it looked like he kind of passed his turn. We'll see what ended up happening here. He goes for the Ash. All right, so that's obviously not very good. We'll see what else I can kind of draw into here. The Cursed Eldlin's going to send like a Conch to the graveyard. I have a Golden Land Forever and a Forbidden Droplets. And I can still go through these kinds of combos. So Magician's Souls serves a tremendous amount of purpose. Because if the Deep Sea Diva is negated, then, you know, you can go through here. Also, like if you don't like draw like into your Colt Wing, you can go into kind of the Dagda combo as well. See how far I end up going here. So yeah, this is like the worst case scenario where you have to just go into a Borload Savage Dragon. So I guess he did pass turn. So this is like kind of one of the more traditional setups, I suppose. Normally this would be like a Herald, but an Omni-Negate, you know, supported by, you know, a Scarlet Sanguine to go, you know, the Forbidden Droplets, the Golden Land Forever. Not bad at all, obviously. All right, looks like I'm playing against like Dark Layer deck. I may have 2 decks here. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I just sent this Kriston Rosniks, if I'm not mistaken. And there you go, like quite literally you just saw like how this idea works. Normally in the Penguin deck that I showed before, that would be totally it. So now I'm going to restrict him from going into the extra deck. Although I probably should have keyed in and gone for the Penguin combo because he only has 8 cards. I don't know why you'd have like that few, but I guess he does. And there we go. The if you can kind of key in and you know your opponent's not going into the extra deck, this just destroys any spell and trap on the field. So decent enough, I suppose. The Artifact Scythe is just kind of there. It's not a brick anymore, and it's fine at that point. Alright, the Scarlet. So he goes for the summon limit. That's not very good. The Solemn Strike also comes down to get rid of the Ash to go into his Dark Lair. So I definitely am going to try my best to get rid of that. I've destroyed one of them, so here goes the second one. But I have to worry about the summon limit first, because that's super duper important. More than anything, these cards just kind of get advantage on your field, letting you go into stuff like Nightmare Unicorn. I do have 2 of the Nightmare cards in there for cases exactly like this. And then hopefully you can go into like Borreload Savage Dragon. Now I have a question, and I wanted to pose this to I guess the comment section. Do these 3 cards not equal Borreload Savage Dragon? The link rating is the requirements for Borreload Savage Dragon are 3+ effect monsters. Well, these are all effect monsters, and this equals more than a link 4. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like not. I don't know how Yu-Gi-Oh works, but that's what my plan was. That's kind of why I went there and why I'm like kind of floating in the middle of nowhere. So he has a super polymerization. I have a couple of darks here on the field. Not so good. I still would have enough. I would have had enough life points. Honestly, he probably should have gone for the Deep Sea Diva because now I'm able to use the effect of the Golden Lord, and I have enough attack to go over it. That's going to try to destroy all special summon monsters, but this can't be destroyed by card effects. We all know how good Eldlich stuff is. Obviously, maybe not meta defining, but nonetheless pretty decent. All right, considering he just had a Crush Card Virus, I can just go in and attack for game. And Crush Card Virus obviously doesn't really matter against this deck anyways. Here is a matchup against Dogmatica. Oh, the Storming Mirror Force is pretty good, right? Okay, so this is not one of the more ideal setups. I used to have Pot of Disparity to, go deeper in the deck and search for kind of outs. I've actually gone away from that recently. I prefer, just to focus in on the kind of the Magician stuff. But this is okay. Okay, the Ash can come down. The red screen, your opponent cannot declare attacks. I think this is like a stun deck of some sort. I'm not sure. I can go ahead and set the Penguin Soldier. Why not? To flip it in case he just doesn't know what's going on. And, Penguin Soldier has a decent matchup, I think, against the Dogmatica stuff. I do not want Neuron Network to be able to go through. Certainly not. And still not getting into any of those play starters, but I can hopefully draw a couple cards, especially when you have stuff like Cursed Eldlin and all of them replace each other. You can do some really cool stuff. And I can take a peek at his hand. I'll go ahead and get rid of the Dragma, I suppose. And I can summon from the deck an Atlantean Prince. We'll see where I end up going even further than this. The Torrential Tribute comes down. Oof. That is no bueno. I wonder when he'll use it. Not now. I may go into like a Nightmare Phoenix to force it out of him, or the Geomethmic Final Sigma, because then I'll be unaffected at that point. He's going to have to use Torrential Tribute. He ends up not doing it. That's kind of surprising to me, to be honest. But here we go. I can get, definitely don't want Disciple of the Nadir. That's just too much advantage for him to use. He can't go to the extra deck anymore. This can't be destroyed by extra deck monsters, but of course, trap cards are perfectly fine, which is really the strong point of, to have pop traps instead of monsters. So many cards in the game just aren't affected by monster effects, But this is kind of one of the pseudo-boss monsters of the deck, I suppose. Alright, I can flip this up and go ahead and send the Fleur back to the hand. He ends up summoning her right back, but I can get over it now at this point. The Storming Mirror Force I was not expecting, but okay, we're still moving along. The Penguin Soldier can now be set once again, and he's just getting less and less advantage now. Whatever that back row is, he is back to the front. How random is that? I guess it does trigger the effect of Ecclesia. Okay, we can keep bouncing these. I mean, that's kind of like the point of like Penguin Soldier, I think, that you can just keep using it over and over again if you don't have a normal summon. This is not an extra deck monster, so that's kind of, you know, free real estate. And now it's like he's going to have to be something amazing. Unending Nightmare is kind of just random in my opinion, and, you know, that's way more than enough needed for lethal. Alright, just 3 more duels. This is against the new Exorcist archetype. I need to review this, so that'll probably be tomorrow's video if I don't do like a step-by-step combo tutorial. Just as like a quick introduction. Also, the whole Dagda combo, like, I've seen it before, but I can't find it on YouTube, so I think I may end up, you know, kind of doing that. Alright, Forbidden Droplets, obviously you can chain, you know, with Sanguine, so you aren't wasting a single bit of advantage. And I will go ahead and ash that Pot of Desires. This, Exorcist, like, Milk Howleys. What a strange name. Hopefully it's not the American one, but it's very good. It's actually insanely good. Being able to banish card and search in the same kind of XYZ, and I think you can do it during your opponent's turn. Very unique. Alright, let's see how far into the combo I can go. I go into Crystalline Needle Fiber, going into the 3. Literally doesn't matter between Penguin Brave and the Dagda combo. Maybe I should have gone into try to lock him out of the extra deck. Probably would have been a little smarter, but I think I can make things work nonetheless. I'm going to force him to discard something, so I make him do the Pot of Desires. I'm not sure, you know, necessarily that's what he would have wanted, but cool stuff. I can go ahead and flip this up, bounce the Mick Halise, and those two do make Borload Savage Dragon. Why not? And I'm going to go ahead and attach at least 1 negate here, so I have a little bit of disruption. Truthfully, like, this order, whatever it was never going to work in my favor, but at least I've forced him to use both of his forms of disruption. Because now, I'm pretty sure I just have free reign to do whatever I want. We will see how far I can get into this. Alright, these two can definitely... I can at least draw 1. It ends up being a Cursed Eldlich, which is pretty good. I can get into a Hakero, going into the Ash, and that's 4. I couldn't attack. I don't know why. Maybe it was something that I didn't know how to read, but sure. This is actually going to bounce it back to my extra deck. All right, so we're still doing a lot of work here. I'm going to try to prevent this from attacking me by shooting it down in defense position. He goes into the Infinitrack Fortress Megaclops, but yeah, I had the negate. I guess that was a pretty bad misread by him. So clearly he's like in a tough spot at this point. The Cursed Eldlich once again can just every single turn activate that effect, and I can go ahead and special summon this. The Stella, you know, goes into the extra deck. Okay, he negates the effect of Eldlich, but again, I'm now starting to really get into this kind of feedback loop where he just can't possibly keep up. Here is a game against metal foes. Sure. So I'm definitely going to be able to peep his hand. We'll see what I end up taking away. There's Eldlich stuff in there. Everybody, including me, seems to put it in with every deck, which makes sense because it's very self-sufficient and good for the grind game too. And, you know, having cards like Infinite Impermanence and Forbidden Droplets are just perfect. And you draw so much during this combo that, you know, even if you draw into some of your bad cards, you'll likely either have the cards that you need or you'll get the ritual to be able to send it back anyways. I do think there's probably a more optimal version to end this than Penguin Knight, and I may end up exploring that, you know, soon. Maybe you can go into like a Savage or something like that. That way it's a little better and you free up some more of your zone for the Eldlich stuff. I just think it's hilarious to go into Penguin Knight. And, you know, Penguin Brave. Just look at that card art. Absolutely pristine. And against Pendulum decks, or if he is playing Pendulums, if he's playing Metal Foes, he definitely has to be, right? Yeah, I mean, that's pretty rough. Like, to have... you need a lot of cards in Pendulum to make it work. And, you know, I had an Ash in my hand that I had drawn off the combo, the Forbidden Droplets, and the Penguin Soldier. So that's about as bad as it gets for, you know, this guy. Okay, here is Orchist. We'll see what I can draw into here. I draw into the Deep Sea Diva. Really, the entire point of even having Magician Souls in here. I think my deck size is 45, just a little bit more, maybe less of a chance to draw your bricks. And the card size just seems to work out that way. You just have a lot of cards that you need to fit in the deck anyways. But it does seem to even itself out, especially considering how everything, like when you go through the Deep Sea combo, you're going through like 6, 7 cards in your deck. And Eldlich in and of itself, it replaces itself so much. So it's almost like good to have over 40 cards in my opinion. Looks like my combos were completely messed up here. I don't even remember why I saved this. Maybe something interesting happens. I don't know. I just end this video on like some horrible replay. So Sky Striker stuff? Okay, why not? I guess anytime. Well, Sky Striker Orcus was really big, but all right. Goes for the Mobilizing Gauge. To get the Widow Anchor, he's going to have the Negate, but I think he's going to have cards in his main monster zone. I don't know. Maybe he's going to use this for Link Summoning? Okay, but now he's leaving, my Omni Negate somewhere here. And, I played Orcus so much to know that this card is so important. They're very thin combos, just like this one is, truthfully. I'm not going to lie and say, like, oh, wow, like, this is just meta-defining. Like, Ash and Infinite Permanents are very bad against it, obviously. But I think the fact that you have an out, like, up to Nibiru specifically for a combo deck, you have to be pretty darn happy about. In here, I mentioned this earlier in the video, but, just being able to do this. So I had, like, such a crummy first turn, and still, it looks like this, like, through all the disruption, which is pretty darn neat to me. So that was a really long look at the Synchro Eldlich build that I had made. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Other than that, that's going to do it for today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.